Hi, I'm Dhiraj Khandelwal. I'm chartered accountant, and currently I'm serving as a Central Council member of the Institute of Chartered Accountant of India. And I'm heading the committee called MSME in a startup, as well as um, development of trade and services and WTO. And today we have with us Badri Narayan, Badri Narayan Gopalakrishnan, sir. And basically, he's an economist, academician, and as well as bureaucrats. And currently, he's serving as a head of the Trade, Commerce, Strategic Economic Dialogue at NITI Aayog as a joint secretary. And he has served in the previous number of organizations. He has been as a consultant in with the McKinsey, UN, World Trade, ADB, IIFT, and number of various other organizations. And he has been instrumental in a number of author of author of a lot of books. I think more than 7 books he has written, a number of articles, but more than 150 articles. And being visiting professors, and today he's with us, and he also did his PhD in the economics. So he's an economist also, and a lot of and we have a good opportunity to have with him to demystifying the CBDC. So today is a lot of talks about the CBDC. What is CBDC? Central bank digital currency. When people are talking about when we have a cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin and number of currencies coming up, why the central government is needed the digital currency, when the central government itself banned the this cryptocurrencies in 2019, and again why it is coming up their own digital currency. There are again questions. When the government last year itself imposed a taxation on the cryptocurrencies, then what is the intention again in the CBDC? So a lot of questions coming out. And what the world is happening in the world, what is happening? How many governments are coming with this their own digital currency? How going to be impact this into the market? What is the fiat currency is going to be deal with it? So a lot of questions are there. That's both will discuss on it. And being he's from NITI Aayog, the government have their own view and futuristic plan. Let's discuss with the Badriji about the CBDC. So welcome Badriji for this a knowledgeable session to the people to have more knowledge on the CBDC. So welcome back to this particular dialogue. So sir, I wanted to know more on the CBDC, what the happening in the digital bank currency, which is India has already been implementing it and already launched it. What is the motive behind it? And when the RBI, when I'm saying that RBI already earlier banned it, now they're coming with their old digital currency. So what is the reason behind it? So over to you, sir.
Thank you, Dhiraj. Thank you for the nice introduction. I'm happy to be here. So today I'm really happy to be in this forum and discuss about this topic on central bank digital currency. I must also mention that I'm not an expert on this particular topic, but I will try to explain some of the thoughts and ideas I have based on my own reading of things and the discussion with some of my colleagues, both in the government and in RBI. So to begin with, your question is really very pertinent about why digital currency has been announced while when you actually have many things that are already available. One is the digital transactions and another is cryptocurrencies, private cryptocurrencies. So on this, it's very briefly talk a little bit about the history, how different currencies have been evolving over time. So if you go to the ancient times, we had the gold and silver coins and so on. So the coins themselves had intrinsic value. The currency had an intrinsic value by themselves. Then later we had the gold standard, where the government will have, or the central bank, Reserve Bank will have certain amount of gold that is corresponding to the paper, the fiat currency that we have. Then later on, the gold standard was gone. and then we had the fiat currency, that is then controlled, the money supply is controlled by the central bank for various purposes, various macroeconomic purposes. We have inflation, we have growth, inflation growth trade-off, and so on. So now these are all conventional knowledge. Many of us would know about it. But now, in the last 10-15 years, a lot of innovations have been happening. Firstly, we have the digital transactions. And India has become a global leader in this, in terms of digital transactions. We have UPI, which is very unique in India. Now we are actually sharing that knowledge with other countries. Secondly, we have, like you rightly pointed out, there are many cryptocurrencies globally. And even before the digital transactions happened, even before UPI came, we had the banks, online bank accounts and credit cards where you can actually make transactions without using fiat currency. So that is why I'm saying in the last couple of decades, we have all these changes happening. Now the question is why? Okay, now before going to why digital currency, we should first understand what is digital currency. So what is digital currency, and how is it different from other currencies, other forms of currencies we know? So as I already mentioned, in the last 20 years, we have had various ways of dealing with currency without touching the rupee notes and the coins. But the difference between that and digital currency is that in digital currency, by definition, is issued digitally. Like that it's e-rupee, for which there is no corresponding rupee note or coins that is being minted or printed. So that is a fundamental difference compared to the traditional methods. Even if you take the UPI and so on, the transactions, we are not physically exchanging money, but the banks are doing that on the background. Banks are actually moving the physical voluminous notes from one place to another. So that is one aspect that is totally digital. Secondly, it is also designed to be least disruptive. So it is not supposed to change the way we are doing things fundamentally, in the sense that it is not something that is totally different from what we have today. So the government or RBI is making sure that it is seamlessly introduced, right? So that is the second aspect. So it is very similar to the way we are doing things, but at the same time, it is introducing a lot of innovations. The third aspect is now when I explain the third aspect, I'll come to your question on why digital currency. So the third aspect is that it is very safe, secure, trustworthy, and stable, and managed by the central bank. So now that is the point. That is a point that differentiates this from the cryptocurrencies. The cryptocurrencies are great. Yeah, cryptocurrencies are great. They have really, I wouldn't actually, of course, if you look at the RBI document, there are very strong criticisms about cryptocurrencies, and I would also agree with some of them. But at the same time, if you think about it in a very technical fashion, cryptocurrencies also have their own benefits. You have their own benefits. They are decentralized and so on. But of course, everyone would agree, even the biggest supporter of cryptocurrency would agree that they are very unreliable. They can go up and down. They can be very volatile, and nobody knows what is happening. There is no intrinsic value there. There is no intrinsic value. So now the government is doing this, RBI is doing this to ensure that people are not, so why people are going for cryptocurrency? For many reasons. One is easy transactions. You can make transactions more easily, particularly the cross-border transactions can be made easily. Secondly, some people do it for trading purposes, and trading aspect is not something that we should encourage, because there are a lot of risks involved. It's not the stock market where you can have some kind of procedure, some kind of thought process. Crypto is more unreliable. So now the government, central bank, that's why it's saying that, okay, now cryptocurrencies are so prevalent. Now what can we do to develop a system which performs the good things, takes into account the good things of cryptocurrency? Because cryptocurrency is not totally like a very bad concept. It has a lot of good things. So we take those good things, but we leave out all the risks and all the bad things there, right? So that is what is digital currency. That is why we need the digital.
Yeah, I think very, very nice. You put it that, we are saving the cost also by having the digital currency. We're going to have a safe and secure manner of it, or also definitely innovation. I think this rightly you described that, CBDC is why needed. Now, my next question is that are we replacing the cryptocurrency? So
Yeah.
there will not be.
No, on this question, the answer is this is so on cryptocurrency. We still, as a government, we are still working on the modalities. What should be the cryptocurrency bill is still pending. We still have to work on it. So this has nothing to do with cryptocurrency. However, what you said is
so
partly,
can we say that it's a better version of the cryptocurrency?
That is something we can say. We can say that it is a kind of a competitor. It's government's answer to cryptocurrency, right? I can put it that way. It's a Reserve Bank's answer.
But in the cryptocurrency, decentralizes the main theoretical formats. But here is again it's a government control. So again, regulators going to become over here. In the cryptocurrency, there's no regulator. There's no boundaries. There's no barriers are there. So my next question is that if it is there, just like a regulator, so there's no need of the banks.
Exactly. So that is why we are not saying that this is. So when I mentioned earlier about why digital currency, why not cryptocurrency? So people are different. Some people like decentralization. They said, okay, I can do cryptocurrency because that is completely decentralized. Nobody is regulating it, and so go ahead. You go ahead and use that. But if you are a person who is stuck with cryptocurrency only because you're using it for some transactions, some kind of cross-border transactions and so on, then you don't have to use cryptocurrency. You can use digital currency, right? Because if it's a philosophical question, like of course we in the government and regulators, we will take a stance that cryptocurrency is not good because it is decentralized. It's kind of it's kind of anarchy, right? There is no central controlling system. But you as an individual, everyone is different. So as an individual, one may think that, okay, I want something where I can, there is no central controller. So they can continue using cryptocurrency. But here we are saying that there are people who are stuck with cryptocurrency not for this philosophy, but for other reasons. Those people can use digital currency. And cryptocurrency, we are not actually saying that we are banning cryptocurrency or we are regulating. So far, we haven't made anything. So the broad direction is towards regulating cryptocurrency. But that is a separate initiative that won't have anything to do with
my question is that let's understand that way. Today we have the fiat, like the physical currencies, and the physical currency, how we get it? Through the banks. A lot of banking channels are there, and we can get it. The withdraw money, deposit the money for transactions which we utilize the bank. Now we going to have a digitalized currency. Do we need banks for the digital, if I have to buy the currency CBDC? So what is the format? How it's going to distribute it in the market? How it's going to penetrate in the market? How is, suppose if I'm having a money, let's say suppose 1 lakh rupees, if I'm having the cash, I can deposit in the bank account in the format and I can earn the money. So my question is, how in the future shape going to be there? How the commercially is going to be viable? How the people going to utilize this particular things?
Yeah, on this, the concept note by RBI provides some answers, but basically it is very there are multiple choices, multiple options here. For example, if you think about the types of currency, there are wholesale and retail. The wholesale will be with the banks. And when the banks do interbank transactions and so on, that will be wholesale. And the retail currency will be with the consumers. And of course, the bank will also issue the retail. When you go and withdraw money from the bank, we are going to get the retail also. And secondly, we also think of the we have a direct model, indirect model, and so on. So that is where what you said also comes into picture. Whether the central bank directly gets involved in this, Reserve Bank directly gets involved in this, or it happens through the different banks and intermediaries. So what the concept note finally says is that there are many different things we are contemplating now. the reality can be when it actually happens, it could be a combination. It need not be like one
hybrid model.
Hybrid model, exactly. Yeah.
Hmm. So I think it's a good, people can have the choices. It can be reaches to the, the remote places also where the our banking distribution network channel is there. So that they have the account, they have the KYCs, they can be get it the digital currency. I think that's the thought process might be there in the CBDC thought process. So it can be distributed properly. So I think great. I think the next question is that, so in the concept note, I didn't find whether the holder of digital currency will get the interest rate or not.
Interest rate?
Interest. So suppose if I'm having a saving bank account or maybe current bank account, so in the saving bank account, I can earn the interest on the digital currency in the fiat currency. So the same case be going to be in the digital currency?
Absolutely. It's not mentioned, like you said, explicitly this is not mentioned, but there is one point that is mentioned, that this has to be least disruptive. The central bank digital currency be least disruptive, which means that whatever you're doing with fiat currency, you should be able to do with digital currency. So in a way, it is more like it is a superset. Whatever you can do with digital currency, physical fiat currency, you can do with digital currency, but you can do many more things with digital currency, which you cannot do with the physical currency. So that is the additional thing. So the interest is definitely part of it. That's what I would understand from it. Yeah.
So I think good point. My point is that why we need currency? We need currency for the trade, right?
Yeah.
And whether it's a domestic, whether it's an international. For the international, there's a one currency which is well accepted by all the countries is the USD. So how transaction going to be? I have the questions in my mind. If I have to make a import and export payments, I have the digital currency, Indian digital currencies. I'm having a transaction in the Euro. Euro might be having the different currency. Then which currency is going to utilize in the future? Who going to accept our currencies? I can be utilized this digital currency in the domestic market, but how about the international market?
So on the international markets, there's one point of discussion in the concept note about the cross-border payments, right? So
yes.
So basically, there can be so you have our currency e-rupee that is available digital format. When you do transactions, there has to be a way to directly convert that into USD. US dollar, right? And vice versa, from US dollar to e-rupee. So here, of course, I didn't answer one of the questions you asked before, which is about which other countries have CBDCs. Correct. So it's mostly the Caribbean countries and Nigeria and China, some of those countries. So the other countries are yet to do it. But we are getting ready. Most countries are talking about it. Even in the US, there is some discussion about it. Every country is talking about it. So eventually, we'll have a system, and we cannot wait for other countries to do it. We are getting it ready from our side. And then in the future, what we'll have is there will be interoperability. Just the way we have currency interoperability, the fiat currency interoperability, we'll also have the e-rupee interoperability. Then I think being one of the first few countries doing this, we can actually set the standards there. Set the, like, for example, you take any finance related things, Basel norms or SWIFT and so on. Everything was developed in the West because they had the first mover advantage. So in this, we can have the first mover advantage. So where we can actually come up with
my suggestion is, sir, my suggestion to you, to the government through you, being the US dollar is being traded across the world in the fiat economy or currency. When we are a first mover advantage going to be in the digital currency, why not the e-rupee going to be leaders in the world, and the e-rupee well widely accepted in the global, so that we can move this particular e-rupee to the in the various states. Why do we need to have a US dollar transaction? Why we have the pound or euro? Why we can have an e-rupee? So this is the thought. Let's have this a cryptocurrency global widely accepted by the global, like the crypto. See, ultimately, benefit of the cryptocurrency is that no barrier, no conversion issues. Every across the world is using the word cryptocurrency, and they can anywhere can convert the money in the fiat money. So that is the basic difference. When we talk about the basic characteristics of cryptocurrency going to use the e-rupee, let's have the widely accepted of the e-rupee. That's my point, which is I wanted to make to the government. Let's have this rather than be just a digital currency. Let's have the widely accepted digital currency across the world.
No, this is a great point you're making, Dhiraj. We should definitely think about it, and we have to. When we have also in the government, we have been thinking of making rupee more accepted globally, even the fiat rupee. But there is a long way to go. But in this, since we have this early mover advantage, we can actually work on global acceptability. We can start with the developing countries first, because this is a package of things. It's not just a currency, but it's a package of things. A lot of innovations that can come with it. And then we can offer that package to many other countries. Particularly, we can start with the developing countries whom we can help, and then we can take it forward to a global level. Definitely, that's a great idea you had, and maybe this is something we should actually. Some study has to be done on this, and it has to be explored.
Yes, we should have the study. When we are talking about the replacement of cryptocurrencies, which is privately are there, when we are launching our India's money. So let's have this money to be widely accepted by all the people, so that it can be more tradable for the import and exporter perspective. Absolutely. For the illicit trade transaction. Otherwise, we have to convert the money again into the other digital currency. So then again, we need a lot of tie-ups are there. So if it is widely used, it can be an easy way to everyone. So my next question is, sir, how it is going to be help to the anti-money laundering, this e-rupee?
In fact, that is a very important part of it. There is there is a lot of 2 points here. One is that the currency, this digital currency, if you even look at the very first mention in the government, it's all about trust and safety and reliability, stability, these kind of things. So it is highly safe, and you can actually, given that it is online, digital, you can also track a lot of things. So even if you go back to, and you are a chartered accountant, I should ask you this question on how the digital transactions reduced a lot of these money laundering activities in the past, right? Probably there will be some visible changes that happen with all the formalization that happened through digital transactions. So now with digital currency, this is going to go to a next level. So we can actually track.
I think good point, because it's have the traceability. The physical currency doesn't have the traceability. Who have handled, where it is handled. Now having the digital currency, we have that because having on blockchain. So in the blockchain, you have the network of the people. So where the money is going flown, how many people have traded this particular currencies, where it is being lying, what the transactions are happening. So it's all crystal clear. So I think that's the best way of utility, for the ALM system as well as for the tracking system. So I think with having this, there will not be any money laundering kind of work going to be there. That's my point.
Absolutely. I completely agree with you. And also there is a mention in the concept note about blockchain a couple of times. And in addition, they add that, of course, blockchain is a great technology, but with CBDC, we can also have even more advanced cybersecurity features, which can minimize the chances of any risk that can happen in terms of money laundering and so on. So you can completely track everything, like you rightly pointed out.
Yes, very true. In the currently, we have seen a lot of news over the fake currency, but now they will be out of question by having the CBDC. So great. I think now my next question is to you, sir. Will the same rupee transactions which we are doing it, the same price of the rupee will be determined the digital currency, or the going to be different price methods?
You mean the price of commodities, right? So basically, you're
not price about, so I'm talking about the price of the digital currency, like we have the price of the rupee, notes, denominates. How it's going to be decided in the digital currency? The same value, or maybe have a different value?
Yeah, it will be the same value. So there is some discussion in the concept note about money supply. So basically the fiat currencies, their value depend pretty much on the money supply. If you have a lot of money supply, then the value goes down. If money supply is less, it goes up. So these concepts are also discussed actually in CBDC. There are different options that are being thought about, but broadly, like you have non-remunerated, you have remunerated. So if you have remunerated, then you have all kinds of implications in terms of money supply, velocity, and so on. But this is something that a final decision has not been made on this. It's more at discussion level now. But definitely, if I go back to one point that was mentioned, it has to be least disruptive. In that sense, this addition of e-rupee should not affect the value of rupee itself. But of course, there will be some changes that happen depending on the choices that the Reserve Bank makes eventually, which has been articulated in the concept note. So there are a lot of technical details here. But broadly speaking, the short answer to your question is that ideally, there should not be any change in the value, but there could be some changes depending on the various choices made by the RBI eventually on this. So final decision has not been made as to how exactly this will be designed.
Okay. So coming to my next thought process on the this utilization, the future of this currency. So my next question is to you, sir. How it going to be deal into the India systems, like in the remote places? Still we are suffering for the net connectivity, though we have reach out to across the all villages. People are still finding difficulties on the currencies. How do you utilize these digital transactions or digital currency?
Yeah. And this is a great point, Dhiraj, and there is a very clear focus on this in the concept note. There is a mention about this offline functionality, which is an option in CBDC. So they can be transacted without any internet. So we can serve the regions where there is no internet connectivity. So actually, this can also create the digital footprints for the population that still has no banking accounts and so on, right? So it can be beyond internet, is what I'm saying. So it's digital, but at the same time, it can happen without internet also. So the digital divide aspect is not going to be a major issue in this regard. And that is how this offline functionality has been designed here. So I think that is. But having said that, I would also say that as far as I can think about and understand, this offline functionality may not be exactly as powerful as the complete internet thing. So maybe it can be like a backup option, but ideally we should our fundamental aim objective should be to minimize the digital divide and maximize internet access everywhere. So while that is happening, we have this stopgap thing where we can do this offline functionality. So I think that could probably take care of what you said. But generally, when I talk about all these digital disruptions and digital technologies, the fundamental aim for all these things is to reach the poor, and that can happen only if you have the access to internet everywhere. So definitely, that's a very pertinent point you raise. But at least when it comes to CBDC, there are some ways to handle it without internet.
So will CBDC boost or bring down the Indian economy?
It will definitely boost. Because if it doesn't boost, then there's no point in doing this actually. So there is a reason for that. The reason is that not one reason, many reasons. So first reason is that if you just go the fundamental aspect is the physical, you're reducing expense on physical printing of notes and minting of coins, right? So that there is some cost saving involved there. Secondly, but that is a small part. But the bigger thing is there is ease of transactions, right? So many times, if you talk to MSMEs, if you talk to many industries, the biggest challenge they face is that they have produced it, they have supplied, they have given to the customers, but they still don't get the money. They still don't get paid. So these kind of things can be solved by this, because the way it can be solved, for example, is when you do the do the invoicing, when you supply the goods and do the invoice itself will have the power to will have the capability to take money out of the customer. So that is how when you sign a contract, it will happen. Like I told you about smart contract before. So many such innovations can happen, and that will only boost the economy. Because in Indian economy today, the biggest challenge has been logistical nightmares, the difficulties in transactions, these kind of things. Many of those things can be solved by digital currency. So I think that will be a major game changer.
So I'm still, confused between the UPI and digital currency. When we talking about most of the difficulties, everything is being solved by the problem, by the UPI. When we talking about, taking India's UPI system to the global level, then how are we going to compete ourselves within our digital currency and UPI? And which one going to take forward in the global level? So that's the confusion. What can you just guide me on that? How it is different with the UPI, and how the India government positions to be different on the UPI as well as the digital currency?
No, that's a great point. Definitely, because UPI has I think progression, right? We first had this GS, then NEFT, then we had IMPS, then UPI came. So basically, it's kind of a progression. So digital currency is the next level, but using money that is linked for UPI can be digital currency, right?
So UPI
it's not a competition.
UPI can be by media is a technology, and rupees have the intrinsic value which
exactly. So there can be complementarities. There can be complementarities, and it can be even better, even easier to transact using UPI with digital currency. That is my humble opinion.
So do you feel that government has any plan to shift the SWIFT transactions which are happening across the world is replacing by the UPI?
There are some preliminary discussions going on. Definitely, UPI has been one of the points we discuss with many of the trade partners we have, and we also have some programs to help some of the African countries to build this and so on. But I'm not aware of any major initiative to do that. But what you're saying is definitely a great idea. UPI can become like a competitor to SWIFT.
Yes. So because when we talk about the global commodity, and when we talk about global acceptance of the UPI systems, and which the Russia is adopting, the Africa countries adopting, we can create some of the nations globe where the UPI system can be applicable and can be transacted the money through the UPI.
Yeah, so absolutely. I completely agree with you, Dhiraj. Yeah.
Good point, sir. I think that it's a great discussion on the CBDC. I think most of the viewers now understood about the importance of the CBDC. They have understood about what the UPI system and how the UPI system is differently going to work with this CBDC, and what is the advantage of having the CBDC. But the one thing is sure about it: India is leading in the technology front. And I've been into the WTO, where I've seen it. The world is still talking about the digitalization and talking about the tech innovation. We already had completed our innovation and digitalization part of it. And we, Indian, can be on the global front and shown about the UPI system and the CBDC. And the point which I agreed by the Badri, that UPI system can be replaced, this SWIFT position, as well as the e-rupee can be part of the global economy part of it, where we can have our own cryptocurrencies can be widely accepted across the world. So that's, the world transaction can become easy for Indian transaction. Another point is for each and everyone, by having this CBDC, definitely there are reduce of the bank, role of the banks going to be reduced. More and more digital bank going to be introduced. So rather than you have to visit the bank for taking out the money, cash, the ATM kind of things going to be more usable. So hardly bank will find, and you will be transact with the digital banks. So a lot of innovation is happening. I think I'm very much, very positive about the India's work. I'm thankful for the NITI Aayog, who's taking proactive step in the India making a great nation. So with this, I think thankful to each and everyone. So Badriji, thank you for your time, which you have given us on the point of CBDC. And I know that you have been economist. You have a lot of knowledge about the trade, digitalization, logistics. We'll come up with you with the various other topics which is going to be discussed on the economy, how the India economy can be a top economy, and how our share in the global economy can be there by way of having more export rather than be a more imports. So we'll have a more interaction on this in the later session. So with this, thank you very much for coming here. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.